August and should face scrutiny from a congressional hearing before that happens.
We've unlocked the vaults, and we're replaying Casey Kasem's American Top 40, the 70s. This week is from May 8, 1976. That's when the captain and Tennille taught us to shop around. The Four Seasons remembered December 1963. Barry Manilow was trying to get that feeling again. And Wings were playing silly love songs. You'll hear those songs and all the top 40 hits from May 8, 1976, right here on American Top 40, the 70s.
Good morning and welcome to Coffee and, the longest-running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question to the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email at joe@onesockeradio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee and panel on ON 1240, WOON One Socket Radio.
We welcome you into the Coffee and program on this Friday morning, May 8th. My name's Joe Callahan. Thanks for joining us this morning. And at the Coffee and table, I hope, Tom Ward from the Valley Breeze. You there, Tom?
I am, Joe. How are you today?
I'm very good. How are you?
Good. Getting ready for another dash of winter.
Did you put away your snow shovel?
No, it's still there. I knew better. It was after April. I knew there's going to be a long slog for spring.
Joining us via the phone, Paul Willett from the Northern Rhode Island Chamber of Commerce. Good morning, Paul.
Morning, man. How are you?
All right. Do you have your snow shovel with you, Paul?
Well, like Tom, I had it out for, the month of April. When did we have snow? A couple weeks ago, I guess.
Yeah.
But, no, it's sitting there right in the barn and within an arm's reach, but I don't think we'll need it. They say Whistler.
No, we're not going to. But I think of we have in-laws in our family, or my daughter's family comes from Rumford, Maine, and they're looking at 6 to 12 inches tonight. And it's May 8th, May 9th? I mean, this is ridiculous.
I saw that map yesterday in northwestern Massachusetts into Vermont. They were getting 3 inches out of this. So it's crazy. I should have checked in with my son. He's up in Maine too. How much snow they're expecting? He's a little east of Rumford, so I don't know what they're getting closer to the coast.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's time for first message from the Northern Rhode Island Chamber of Commerce. So it's over to you, Paul.
Well, thanks, Joe. We continue to be very busy at the chamber. I did a calculation the other day, and since the pandemic started, we've offered 20 virtual webinars for our members. So, and that continues throughout the month of May, and I'm sure we'll be scheduling more beyond that. But we have an interesting one coming up on the 11th, and it's preparing to sell online, and it's reinventing your business for e-commerce. A lot of businesses are taking a look at that, and selling product online, which they probably haven't done. So it's a good opportunity to learn about that. And then on the same day, later in the afternoon at 4 o'clock, we have a new series called Member Monday, and that's when a member highlights what they do. This one's going to be a little different. It's members of our Women's Business Council. They're going to be having a panel discussion about what's going on. Excuse me. And then the next day we have leadership blind spots that you should be thinking about now during this pandemic. I can go on and on. We have cybersecurity coming up on the 14th. On the 18th, we have digital marketing to improve your audience through the sales funnel. And then going up to a week from Monday, we have another Monday member event, and that's going to be Mark Allen. He's one of our chamber members and also a member of our board of directors. He has a clothing shop in Providence. They hand make men's clothing, and they've also been in the news lately for making cloth masks. So there's a lot coming up. Just visit our website at nrichamber.com. All these virtual offerings are of no cost, but you do have to register. And you can do that at nrichamber.com, or you can call the chamber at 334-1000, and someone will be able to help you.
All right, Paul, thank you very much. All right, well, the phase one of reopening the state starts tomorrow. Are we all ready for it? Does anyone even know what it entails?
It's just it's small shops and things, Paul. Paul, you know better. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Paul.
So if you were to look on reopenri.com, there are some details there about what businesses have to do to open. Some of it starts tomorrow, and some offices start opening on Monday. But there are guidelines that businesses have to follow. There's also some charts that they can download. If they go on reopenri.com and scroll down a little, and there'll be some guidelines for businesses. This is phase one. It's called testing the water, and it is a test, and we're going to see how it goes. The governor has been pretty adamant about doing a stepped approach, and if this goes well, then at some point, come June 1st, we'll take a look at phase two. So there is a lot that businesses have to do. The social distancing is certainly going to continue. Big change in the restaurant industry, where restaurants are going to be allowed to do outdoor seating. And they're still going to have to maintain the social distancing thing, but they're also going to be allowed to have cocktails to go. There is a limit on that. They're going to have to be sealed containers. Not sure.
You don't want to spill any, Paul.
What's that?
You don't want to spill your cocktail.
Well, no, you certainly don't. And I guess depending on how long of a ride you have home, hopefully you won't be tempted to taste it. But they're still going to be able to sell up to 2 bottles of wine and up to 44 ounces of beer. So it's interesting that we're starting to move, but let's see how it goes.
Taking a look at some of the initiatives coming from the governor, she's just saying non-critical retail stores will reopen with capacity limits.
Yes.
Okay. Anyone who has – go ahead, Paul.
I mean, we've all been used to the big box stores have they go by square footage, so many people per square feet that they have. If you've been out and about lately, for example, like a garden shop at one of the big box stores, they have people right there because it's a caged area.
Right.
They have people right there, and they'll only let a couple people at a time go in and look around. So it is going to be very controlled. Again, those guidelines are on reopenri.com, and it's pretty clear to me anyway of what you need to do and how to go about it.
It also says anyone who has deferred health care needs should call their doctor and ask about an in-person visit. Elective medical procedures can resume under safety guidelines, and other offices can start allowing people to come and go on a very limited basis, and some state parks will reopen with limited parking to keep it down. So the stay-at-home order will lift tomorrow, but social gatherings will remain limited to 5 people right now through May 22nd in Rhode Island. Others events that have been extended through May 22nd, it's the domestic travel, anyone coming to Rhode Island from any other state for purposes other than work, medical treatment, or obtaining necessities by any mode of transportation must be self-quarantined for 14 days. Restaurants, bars, cafes will remain closed to dine-in service till at least May 22nd. And the recreation and entertainment businesses are also closed through right now through May 22nd.
Yeah.
So that's
if you click on the non-critical and the critical retail guidelines, there's a separate document for each. You know, they're pretty clear. For instance, if you go in a clothing store, you're not going to be able to use the dressing room. The dressing rooms are still going to be closed. So, you know, it's going to be very different. You know, retailers, there is a reopening checklist and plan that they can download and follow. So, again, it's a test, and we're going to just. I'm sure the governor's office and officials are going to be keeping an eye on how it's going very closely.
All right, Tom, is it going to work? Or is it going to be a big mess and we're going to have to?
Eventually, I mean, we're all going to live. I mean, you know, I think this is a massive overreaction for anyone under the age of 60. And, you know, people are not dying in numbers. I think you only had to read a story in last week's Providence Journal about a Cumberland man who died. And, you know, he was elderly and had all kinds of underlying conditions and then got COVID and quickly died. And the family, but the state made sure to count him as a COVID death. And the family feels very differently. They're just like, no, he was dying anyway. He was at the end. But the state wanted to make sure they harvest that number and say, see, COVID, you all have to lock down. So I personally have lost interest and faith in this. I think it's a massive overreaction. I think, you know, at the beginning when they had us all scared and we didn't quite know what we were dealing with, you know, the whole thing about converting the convention center and all these kinds of things.
Oh, that's right.
You know, we did all these things, and I think rightfully at the beginning, because it was like, wow, you know, now we're going to, you know, now politicians will simply say, well, we shut down the state, and that's why it's getting better, and it's all because of me, and aren't I terrific? And the fact is, we don't know yet. It'll be interesting. I give Governor Raimondo credit for, it'll be interesting to know what happens with the 5,000, I guess they're sending out mailers to, you know, they're inviting 5,000 people to be tested. And what they're finding out in other places is that there's a lot of people who did get COVID and then it went away, and they never even knew it. And it's a large percentage. And what does that mean? What does that mean is that COVID may not be anywhere near as fatal as they say. You know, they say, 1% or a little less than 1%. Well, maybe it's, you know, 1/10 of 1%. Maybe there's a herd immunity going on here where we're getting it, but we don't even know. You know, we cough once, and that's the end of our COVID, and we move on, and now we're immune. We've vaccinated ourselves with this herd immunity. So I've thought for a long time, you know, I maybe, and I admit, I come at this from a perspective of I fear much more the economic damage and what's going to happen. There will be suicides. There will be major mental health disruptions. If you are a salon owner, a small business owner, maybe in the last year, you know, if you're new to the business, you took on debt to start that business. You went to the bank, you've got all these debts, and your business counts on people working. And there are going to be massive there's a massive pain going on, and what you'll never see at the website of the state of Rhode Island is how many people died from suicide or a broken heart or have had mental health problems. How many people died from not going to the doctor? I'm glad to see the governor has now told people you need to get back to the doctor. My personal physician has told me he's bleeding money. Nobody's showing up at his office anymore for regular appointments because they're scared. Now, nobody has pity on a doctor because they think they're all rich, but they're not. And, you know, this guy's just running a small business, and he said nobody's coming in. And so, you know, even the doctors are suffering. We all know the hospitals are suffering terribly because people aren't going in. And so the question is, are there people out there dying quietly, you know, not getting counted into anything? Go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
Look at Kent Hospital yesterday laid off 9 nurses.
Yeah. That's right. And that can happen. I mean, I can tell you, my daughter is on the front line at Rhode Island Hospital, and she's had many shifts canceled. Everyone's going on about this, but she had many times where she was said, don't come into work. She didn't get paid because it's too slow, because all the other work that they used to do has slowed to a trickle. And she said only this week was the beginning where they were seeing hardly any COVID patients at all, and regular people were starting to finally come in after a period of 5 or 6 weeks. Regular people were coming in for their treatments or things. But how many people have died because of this lockdown, where they stayed in place and then perhaps got sick and died? You're not going to see a Gina meter keeping track of those people. And so that's why I think it's. I thought it was harsh at the beginning, but I understood. But
it's still harsh.
It's still pretty harsh. I mean, ask anyone who owns a restaurant. There'll be lucky restaurant owners out there who maybe have been around for a long time. They've paid off their debt. They've paid for the grill. They've paid for the place. The furniture, and so maybe they're debt free, and so they can carry on for a while. But ask any business owner, who has debt. You got to fill a restaurant to make it. Was kind of like the story I did on the stadium last week. You don't half fill it and keep it open. There's no profit to be made, or there's not nearly enough profit. You can't just cut the number of customers in half and say, "See, aren't I wonderful? I'm keeping people safe." And the business owner is like, "Yeah, no, that's not even worth me opening because he's not going to make a profit."
Tom, I'm seeing like for concerts maybe in the future that they're going to seat people every other row.
They're not. They're not. Unless every Go ahead. I'm sorry, Joe.
Well, you won't make any money if you do that.
Exactly.
Well, not only the seating, but the acts aren't going to come in at half price.
That's it. Thank you, Paul. I was just going to say, unless you get the acts saying, I'll work for $20,000 instead of $70,000. But it's just all the roadies who set up all that equipment. I mean, all the fingers in that pie. It's not just and on a small smaller. I can't think of the word.
Scale,
thank you. That's what the stadium theater's about. I mean, if when I was talking to Kathy last week, let's just pick a middle zone. Just some acts, big acts, famous acts, might cost $40,000. Well, that's easy to figure out. You've got 1,000. Let's say there's 1,000 seats in the stadium. That means $40 of every ticket goes straight into the pocket of the entertainer. Now, okay. But if the governor or somebody comes along and says you can only put 400 people, well, let's say 500 because my brain can't do the math that fast, but 500 people, now you've got to get $80 a ticket just to pay the act. And so no one's going to pay $80 a ticket, and so you don't have a show. And that's all the things that Kathy and the staff at the Stadium Theater are going to have to weigh going forward. Because if the governor says, well, you can only fill your theater halfway, there's no point in opening at all. They might be able to do some things in the marquee room and some smaller scale. They might be able to do things. Even the Disney shows where she uses local kids and local talent, and you think, well, okay, that doesn't cost too much because the talent doesn't cost too much. And she said, oh, no, wait a minute. That'll cost you as much as $10,000 for the rights to, if you're doing, Aladdin Jr. or something, you got to pay Disney $10,000 just for the rights to do that show. Yeah. And so when you add all those things up and say you can only fill half the seats, it doesn't work. And now it's going to extend to restaurants. Restaurant owners, we had a story in this week's Breeze, and we talked to the new gentleman who owns River Falls, and one of his quotes was sort of like, under certain circumstances, this simply isn't worth it, because it's not only the matter of seats, but now, Joe, you should bring a restaurant owner on the show, and you'll see how difficult it is. Yeah. How do you have a full menu? Because now you don't know how to order any food, and the food gets old in the freezer and in the fridge because half the people are coming in. I mean, it might be a little bit easier for a guy like a Dave LaHouse who has a limited menu at Kay's, for instance. You have steak and you have other stuff. And so it's limited, and so he might be able to measure that and mark that. But when you have a full menu, I have to believe if I was running a restaurant, I would not come back with a full menu. I'd come back with a limited menu, maybe 8 or 9 entrees, and that's it. Because how are you going to stock up that food? And then, can you get the food? What about the food chain? Where's the beef? Go to the Wednesdays at North Smithfield, and you'll see they're out of hamburgers. So then the question is, I'm getting out of the house. I can't wait to go out with my wife and have a nice steak somewhere. Oh, there's no steak, because of the pandemic. So what a mess! What a mess! And this whole idea that we'll just gradually bring things back and everything's going to be okay. It's nonsense.
All right, we got. Hey, Paul, I got a message in, by the way, about that website you talked about.
Yeah.
And I'm told it's reopeningri.com, not reopenri.com.
It is reopeningri.com.
Oh, reopen is the people against her, I think.
Maybe.
I think that's the more conservative people out there
those
who are
protesters.
calling on her, the protesters. They're calling on her to reopen RI, yeah.
All right, so it's reopeningri.com.
That clarification. Reopeningri.com.
All right.
So,
Paul,
Tom, you were talking about the restaurants, and, it's like I've mentioned every week during this whole crisis. I've been very conscientious about going out at least once a week to get takeout from one of the members. And I was speaking to one of our members last week, and he said that, the big thing for Mother's Day, and he expects to do a decent business, and certainly not what he usually does, but the big deal for Mother's Day is prime rib. Mm-hmm. And, this was last week when I was talking to him, and he said, I've had to go out to secure make sure that we have the prime rib. And the other issue is now the cost of the beef, if you can get it, is going up.
Yeah.
That's something that I'm sure during this, the last thing a restaurateur wants to do is, particularly if they have the outdoor opening, now they're going to be going to disposable menus, I guess, but they're going to have to be printing things up according to the price of the goods.
And market value. It's like buying lobster all the time. We do have to take a break now on Coffee In. So, Paul, it's time for a second message from the Northern Rhode Island Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, and just to make it clear, to reiterate, it's reopeningri.com. And, we want to just make employers aware that there are things that they're going to have to fill out. There's a control plan template that employers will have to fill out. It's not something they have to turn in, but they have to have available should someone from the Department of Health come in. And there are guidelines, social distancing in the office. You don't have to wear a mask if, in fact, everybody is 6 feet apart. So if your offices are spaced and you don't have any close encounters in the common areas, you don't have to wear a mask. But if you are in a situation where you have people coming in, then a mask would be required. So all that information is on reopeningri.com. And the Chamber has a wealth of information on its COVID resource page. I do update that daily. And I just put up, according to what the governor was talking about yesterday with the Phase 1 testing, the water reopening. It's all there. You can visit nrichamber.com and click on the COVID resource page. So during this whole time, the Chamber is there. I'm sure we're going to be getting a lot of questions from our members about this reopening. We did send out a blast email yesterday, but if anybody wants more details, they can visit the website or give us a call, and we're there for you.
Very good, Paul. And the Coffee and program will continue. Please stay tuned.
I'm here with Kara Benjamin of the Benjamin Insurance Agency. Kara, what can you tell me about the insurance industry?
The The industry changes so frequently due to many different factors, things like increased weather-related storms, the invention of smartphones and social media, which increased the amount of distracted drivers, even the cost of cars. Today, people are buying $30,000, $40,000, even $50,000 cars with every kind of option you can think of. All these things impact the insurance industry, and it's important to keep current.
You're in good hands with Allstate and Kara and Celeste Benjamin of the Benjamin Insurance Agency, 125 Eddie Dowling Highway, across from Dowling Village in North Smithfield, 765-5000.
Our business is truly a referral business, and we have built it based on our premier service level and commitment to what we do. If you are looking for personalized service with people who care, that would be us.
People ask what PACE is. Well, PACE is a different kind of health plan. There's really nothing like it. Because PACE was created to give older people with health challenges the care and support they need to keep living at home. If you have a parent who wants to remain independent and live at home, but needs help to do so, call 401-654-4176 or visit pace-ri.org and see what a difference PACE can make in both of your lives.
Preventative care is the hallmark of a good dental program, and Dr. Jeffrey Dodge takes a high priority on patient care as well as patient education by taking the time to listen and answer questions. You'll never feel rushed. Dr. Dodge also offers restorative care, including fillings, crowns, and bridges. They feature an in-house laboratory, making it easy and convenient for the patient. Check their website for more information about their caring philosophy and to learn more about dental updates and new technology. drjedodge.com. Dr. Jeffrey Dodge, your family dentist at 1438 Park Avenue, Park Square, 762-3044.
The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee in Pawtucket. They're a 62-year-old family business that roasts all its coffee right here in Rhode Island. Founded originally as Excellent Coffee Company, they provide great coffee to food service establishments throughout New England.
Well, the coronavirus restrictions certainly are changing the lives of everybody. That includes the folks at Chan's Fine Oriental Dining there on Main Street in Woonsocket. Now, Chan's, of course, no longer can have the Four Seasons banquet room with the special parties and all, and they certainly can't have the egg rolls and jazz, and they can't seat you in the dining room either because of restrictions. But Chan's has something that no other Chinese restaurant in the state has. A fantastic, easy-to-get-to drive-up window right in the back off Clinton Street. Now, you know how to get to Chan's from the Clinton Street parking lot. Well, right next to that is the drive-thru. And there's a sign right on the railroad trestle. Turn left, go right up in there. At Chan's, just call 765-1900 ahead, 765-1900. Great food from Chan's.
Ed Carew here of the Carew Investment Group, 68 Cumberland Street in Woonsocket. Our telephone number is 765-8880. In business, you don't last long if you don't know what you're doing. And if that's the case, I must know a thing or two. I've been in the investing business since 1987, helping people just like you with their investments. At the Carew Investment Group, we employ a conservative approach to client portfolios by using only the best quality companies available, many of which pay a quarterly dividend. We look for opportunities that we expect will go up in value, not every day, but over time. We take our responsibilities seriously and always place our client needs first in any investment decision. If you want to know more or would like a free portfolio review of your current holdings, call Ed at 765-8880. Securities offered through Bolton Global Capital, member FINRA, NSIPC, and advisory services offered through Bolton Global Asset Management, a registered investment advisor.
All right, it's Coffee and on ON Radio. Joe Callahan here with Paul Ouellette and Tom Ward. We're just running a little behind, so Tom, get ready with your first message from the Valley Breeze coming up in just a second here. Okay. It's time for the forecast being brought to you by Cars.com. We are looking at a sunny morning today. We'll have increasing clouds this afternoon. Slight chance of some rain late this afternoon. High temperature today will be near 60. Could be a little windy today. Wind gusts as high as 24 miles per hour. Tonight, cloudy skies. Chance of rain coming in before midnight. And there could be a chance of some rain and snow. Chance of precipitation's at 100%. Low temperature tonight around 38. Saturday's weather, a chance of rain and snow showers before 10 in the morning. Then it changes over to rain showers, and then we get partly sunny skies in the afternoon with a high temperature Saturday near 47. Saturday night, partly cloudy, low around 33. Sunday, mostly sunny, high near 58. And Monday, a partly sunny day, although there is a chance of showers in the morning, and a high near 62. Currently outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street, we have 52 degrees. Whether you need a car now or plan to buy someday soon, Cars.com has nearly 2 million cars ready for home delivery. Connect with dealers to tour cars virtually and search great prices. Check out Cars.com. All right, Tom Ward, time for a first message from the Valley Breeze newspaper.
Sure thing. Well, we were just talking about one of the stories that Lauren Clem did about talking to restaurant owners here in the Woonsocket area, preparing for their soon-to-come reopening, and we certainly wish them all well. I know I'll be out with my wife trying to support them as we move forward. They've supported the Valley Breeze for a long time, and so it would be nice to get back out there in some way and help them out. Or as Paul said, you've been doing it for a while now with takeout. We've done some takeout too, but not quite as much as used to. But I think as spring arrives, we should all be doing our part if you can, at least once a week to try to get out. And so that story's in this week's Valley Breeze. Another story Lauren wrote was about, I think it's Lauren, let me check. No, Ethan wrote it, was about possibly things being different at the Rustic this year, the Rustic Drive-In, because it is a safe space. You're in your car, and not sure exactly how concessions will work, but the Rustic is probably going to be a busy place this summer for a host of reasons, and so Ethan Shorey wrote a story about that. Also in Cumberland, Ethan wrote a story about. Let's see, if you were in the air, there's a place called Tower House, and you drive by it. You see it on Mendon Road, but it's kind of tucked behind some branches of trees. It's a beautiful historic edifice and home. Needs a lot of work, but the town's really working hard to find the right buyer who would keep it and convert it and save it in the town. And so it makes for an interesting story by Ethan, because Cumberland recently has lost some of their historic structures, and they're really trying hard to not lose this one, because it really is a pretty place. It's right across from what is Freedom Bank or the Mendon Liquors store. It's right in that area across the street, and it's kind of a cool old 200 to 220-year-old home. So these are some of the many stories you will see in this week's Valley Breeze. If you need to read, as people, if you're an advertiser, we hope you'll think of us. We still put an awful lot of papers out there in northern Rhode Island, and we're a very good way to reach as many people as possible, especially now that it's springtime and now that you need to, now that you can get reopened. If you'd like to, please give us a call at 334-9555, or you can go online at valleybreeze.com. If you click on advertising in the top bar, you'll find emails and contact numbers and stuff as to how to reach the right people that to help you along with advertising. There's also Rhonda is in the office most days. She can at least take your message and get to the right person and get them back to you as quickly as possible. There are limited amounts of people in the office. There are some, but they come and go, and we don't have any crowd in there at any one time. So the office remains closed to the public at this point, but I'm thinking that's probably going to change fairly soon. But if you want to talk to us, give us a call at 334-9555 or visit valleybreeze.com. Thank you, Joe.
All right, Tom, thank you. And, the things I think about with this coronavirus thing, and they're telling us that the number of cases are going down, yet why do we have to all wear masks out in public? If everything's going down, why wear masks now?
Well, I just talked for a while. Paul, do you want to try that one?
Seems like we missed the boat. We should have worn. Go ahead, Paul.
To this, I guess, and I'm sure you saw on the news where the Warwick Police Union has said that they're not going to enforce that. That really? It's not their place. Mm-hmm. So probably on the air of caution, and even though the numbers are going down, the virus is still out there in the air, and this is why, according to the experts, when you cough, the particles can go beyond 6 feet in some cases. So I think that's why they still encourage people to do it if you're in close distance.
Yeah,
okay.
I think the idea is to, first of all, you protect yourself to a certain limited degree. I mean, if you don't have an N95, most people are just getting sort of these masks you see over a doctor's face or something, or a cloth. They do something, but they don't do a lot, but they're helpful. And so, of course, as Paul just said, if you cough or sneeze and you happen to be infected, whatever you're coughing out is going to go a lot less far and won't fill the air the way it would otherwise. Or if somebody else does it, you might screen out a few particles when you're inhaling yourself. So that's what it's about. Again, I think it's overreach when you ask people to do that outdoors. I think it's ridiculous, frankly. But what do I know, right? And I just think there's a certain amount of sure. Are you better? Are your odds better? Yes,
maybe.
But by how much? I use the example I wrote about it this week. Carol finally reached wit's end, my wife, last weekend when it was nice out, and said, because we hadn't been out in weeks, and she said, let's get in the car and just drive to the beach. We're not going to. She didn't really want to go for a walk on the beach this time, but she was like, let's just get out of here, and so we did. And as I reported in my column, Narragansett Pier, I think anyone who's been down to Narragansett Pier knows that you have parking all along, not the beach, but the pier area. And all of that is blocked off. They've really worked hard to limit people down there. So I'm sure what's happening is people are going anyway. They were parking on the side streets. Yep.
You can't park along the seawall that leads up to the Coast Guard house?
Completely blocked. All of it. Yep.
That's the best place to look at the waves.
Yeah, that's right. And they don't want you doing that because it's wind. But that's to my point. 90% of the people, 10% of the people had masks on. Fine, if they choose to. 90% of the people did not. Now, as of today, that's mandatory. Everybody down there is supposed to be wearing a mask. And they were socially distanced. So I mean, that's my point. Is that it wasn't a huge crowd. People were staying away. They had a little bit of space between each other, and it's windy. It's windy, and so the question is, how much danger really is there? I happen to think it's minuscule, but because again, even if you cough into somebody's face and they get COVID, the odds are overwhelming that they're going to live and be fine. There's only a very small percentage of people who get sick, and then a very small percentage who get really sick. It is true that COVID can really do damage to the wrong people. If you and listen, I could be dead in a week, and people say, "Good enough for you, Tom," but the fact is, there are some people who are just if they get it, it really behaves badly in their system and can kill them. There's no doubt. And that's why everybody's so frightened about this. But it's a very, very small number, outside of nursing homes and things. And so, if you choose to let the state run your life, okay, and I know there's a lot of people who are going to be afraid for the next 6 months. I choose not to live my life that way, but like I said, from day one, my biggest concern has been about businesses. I think because I guess maybe because I was one of them. When you put your life on the line, and I did. I mean, thank God I had a great wife who supported me when I started the Valley Breeze, because I risked everything. And I'm not saying this in some heroic way. Everybody who starts a business puts it all on the line. And that is heroic to me, that they try so hard and work so hard to start a business. And then to have the state come in and say, no, you're done.
Yeah.
And I feel so much pity and sadness for these people, the salon owners, the barber shop. My hair's down to my rear end. I mean, it's like it's enough already. I mean, if my barber opened, would she be wearing a mask? Yes. Would I wear a mask? Yes.
Oh.
Could she allow only one person in the shop at a time? Yes. What is the big deal here? And yet they're not allowed to open. And I know what's happening. By the way, everyone's getting haircuts in people's homes now, and with salon people, and because the salon people are just opening in their home, and some of them. And they're just saying, yeah, come on in, pay me cash. So now the state doesn't get their tax revenue. I mean, just, Mayor Alorza on another station the other day got himself in trouble for talking about shaming people without masks. I say shame women who have roots that are colored. Because if you're walking around with gray roots, okay, we know. And maybe there are women who did their own hair, and so you can't really shame them all. But this is, again, we're overreaching. We're going too far. And I don't like the fact that the governor seems to think, I'm the smartest person in the room, and you will obey me. And I will punish you if you don't.
But every governor's like that.
Yes, I know. And
they're the smartest.
Well, some are less than others.
Some are as strict.
I don't know. I just think now that we're past the first couple of months where we're set up. I mean, the convention center was really just a bailout of the convention center. It's money. We're never going to I guarantee you there's never going to be a COVID patient in the convention center.
There's no need to.
And then Lowe's down in North Kingstown. I mean, seriously, people. So we overreacted. It's all good. And I understand at the beginning we were scared and it was like, get this stuff set. I get that. But to sit around and say, oh, no, we got to keep the convention center full of beds because there might be a relapse in the fall. It's like, show me the science. They drone on about science. Show me the science that proves that there's going to be a relapse that, I don't know.
Well, there is no proof. It's just it's a lot of speculation.
It's a lot of fear-mongering is what it is.
Yeah.
And so it bugs me. It bugs me that I think we're in for a lousy summer. It's funny. I was talking to a guy, and here's how you hurt the economy. By the way, Governor, I know a man who is from Scituate. We're friends. We've been email friends for a long time. We had lunch some years ago. He's I would say upper middle class, and he has a place in Sarasota. He sold his home. He lived his whole life in Scituate. But he sold his home, but he comes back every summer to Rhode Island for 4 months. Why? Because it's hotter than Dutch love in Florida. So he comes back. And he just decided this week, he's like, I'm not coming back. If that's what's going on, I'm reading, and it's like, so how many dollars at restaurants or, entertainment or whatever just went down the drain because he, and I'll bet you there are thousands more, are saying, forget it. I'm not spending the summer in Rhode Island. If it's going to be a miserable little place to hang out and I can't get into restaurants and Theater by the Sea is going to be closed, yada, 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 they're not coming. And another hit to the economy.
Because I live in Massachusetts, Tom and Paul, I get a lot more information, Massachusetts-wise, and they're saying the same thing about Cape Cod.
Yeah.
And they're just so worried about what's going to happen this summer.
They should be.
And they are going to take a tremendous hit.
Yep. People are not going to come to unfun places. And if the message of Rhode Island and Massachusetts is we are not going to be fun this summer, we are going to shut down and make life miserable, who'd come here? Why would they? That's right.
So I did a little civil disobedience yesterday, by the way. In Massachusetts, the face covering edict went into effect on Wednesday. Yesterday, my wife and I, we went for a walk. And we were not 6 feet away from each other because we're not 6 feet away from each other in the house.
Well, not you and your wife, of course. Yeah.
Not only did we not wear masks, we were holding hands walking down the street. Yes, we were.
Oh, my God.
We were passed by a Massachusetts state trooper. And I said, I wonder if that car's going to turn around, because we were holding hands, and we waited, and we kept walking, and he kept going, or she kept going. I don't know.
I think the cops are very much like the cops in Warwick. I think they're just like, you got to be kidding. I am not gonna. There are a couple of power mad ones that come along now and then, and we've all seen the videos of those clowns.
Yeah.
But not usually. Most police are well trained and respectful and good people.
I wonder if that state trooper said, "Well, they're on a city road, town road. Really, it's really not my jurisdiction." So,
yeah, maybe.
So
whatever. But
the Mansfield cops want to stop them, fine, but I'm not doing it.
Yeah. Well, he might have also thought you had sanitizer in your pocket and you took care of business before you held hands. I mean,
what's that, Paul?
Who do you think you are?
I don't know how strict they are in Massachusetts, but in Rhode Island, the governor mentioned yesterday, if you're going out for a walk down the street in your neighborhood, and there aren't other people around, you don't have to wear a mask. And if you're jogging, I mean, can you imagine somebody running, training for a marathon or something, running 26 miles with a mask on? That doesn't make sense. Or if you're riding a bike by yourself, that doesn't make sense. So I'm
sorry, Paul, who said that?
When the governor yesterday, when she was saying about, wearing masks in public, that she didn't expect you, if you're just going for a walk in your neighborhood and there aren't other people around, that you had to wear a mask. That's what I took from it.
Well, that's a violation of her order. So, I mean, I understand she wants to nuance it, and good for her, and she should nuance it. But if you look at what's written down, she said you need to wear a mask in public spaces. The sidewalks in my neighborhood are public spaces. I mean, I understand you don't need to wear one in your yard when you're gardening. I understand all that. But like I said, if she wants to nuance it because she realizes how ridiculous it looks, well, good for her, because yes, maybe she read my column and realized how stupid it would be to have 1,000 people walking on Narragansett Pier with masks on while the wind's howling. I mean, at a certain point, it just becomes ridiculous, and I think we're there. I think, I'm very happy to see the numbers going down. I do think the social distancing and stay in place helped that. However, I also think that the day may come, and we'll never hear about it because the government will never admit this, but the day may come a year or two from now when they finally do the final analysis on this, where they will say, we should have all done nothing. The economy would have survived and thrived. There would have been no collateral damage from a closed economy, and we would have had herd immunity. People would have gotten sick. Yes, the death toll, instead of being, pick a number, instead of being 2,000, the death toll would have been 3,000. But the economy would have survived, and everybody would have been fine, and there would have been a bit more sickness. But what they're telling you is that if 2,000 people die, if they hadn't done this, 50,000 people would have died, and that's nonsense. The evidence does not support that. And
take a break, Tom.
Huh?
We have to take a break.
Oh, sure. Okay.
But you get to keep talking.
Oh.
We need a second on the Valley Breeze newspaper.
Sure. Well, we just want to remind everybody in the back of the Valley Breeze, first of all, if you're shopping for services to be done in your home, carpeting, painting, all the things you're going to want to have done in the springtime, pick up your Valley Breeze and go to the back pages of the Breeze, and you will find all kinds of people ready, willing, and able to help you out right now or soon. And so, our service directory, our business directory is one of the biggest things we have in the Valley Breeze. Donna Meehan is the one who sells those advertisements. And if you want to reach out to Donna, she would be at donna@valleybreeze.com. That's her email. Just reach out. These are low-cost ads that reach thousands and thousands of readers. And so we would urge you to call Donna and place your ad there. Or if you're looking for services to be done in the home this spring and summer, the season has arrived, and I would urge you to pick up the Breeze, go through the back of the paper, and you'll find lots of local people who would be very grateful to have your work right about now. to work around your house. And again, whether it's painting or siding or yard work, landscaping, all those kinds of things, give them a call. They're in the back of the Valley Breeze. You can also find them at valleybreeze.com. Thank you.
Okay, Tom. More of the Coffee and program is coming your way. Don't go anywhere.
Right now is the time for a tune-up on your vehicle. Charlie's Tire and Service Center reminds everyone that they are an authorized dealer of name brand tires like BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Michelin, and Cooper tires. They also offer the best in mechanical repairs and service. You can't beat Charlie's Tire, 825 South Main Street, Bellingham. Charlie's Tire also offers the best in truck and high-performance tires, and they accept all major credit cards. So for top service at fair prices, for tires or mechanical repairs, it's Charlie's Tires. Remember, to get a tune-up on your vehicle, to keep your car running smooth, call Charlie's Tires, 508-883-1211.
Gators Pub has reopened for takeout and delivery. You can order delivery through DoorDash, but for takeout at Gators Pub, call 401-769-2220. 769-2220. Call Gators Pub with your credit card ready. Then when you get to Gators Pub's parking lot, call them back and let them know you're there. Gators Pub curbside takeout hours are Monday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Gators Pub full menu is offered for takeout and delivery. Gators Pub on Victory Highway, Slatersville reminds you to be on the lookout for weekly promotions and deals. Gators Pub has reopened for takeout and delivery.
It's Coffee In on ON, AM, and FM. This is Joe Callahan along with Tom Ward and Paul Willett. And we do have a message to get to that's been written into us. And the writer says, isn't it just as important to wear gloves as a mask? As an example, you make a transaction where two people touch the same item, then you're touching money or your credit card, and then you might touch your face. Can it be transmitted from hands just as well as the mouth and nose? They also go on to say, just like a doctor wears gloves when he's examining a patient, what does he do after the examination? He throws away the gloves immediately. Yeah. I do see people wearing gloves.
Some do.
In stores. I've actually seen people wearing gloves while they're driving.
I have to say, when I go out to the store and I try to limit my activity, I do wear the gloves. And then, I dispose of them after I use them. But, when you're in a store, particularly if you're grocery shopping, you don't know when the last time that item was put on the shelf or if it was touched by someone and changed their mind and put it back. So going out, I'm very cautious, and I do wear gloves. I actually don't bring my wallet in with me. I just bring my credit card in my pocket and pay for it, and after I'm finished, I wipe it down. So I'm one of those people, crazy people, if you will, who are wearing gloves when they go out. Not driving my car or anything. It's just when I go into a store.
Well, okay. I mean, yeah, and the writer is right. I mean, are you safer if you take the time and make the effort to put gloves on? For all the reasons Paul just said. People traditionally would pick up 9 oranges before they decided the 2 they wanted. And even I'm aware of that now, where I kind of look at everything. If I'm picking up apples or something, but I kind of look at them and I give it my best shot. And if I put my hand on it, I own it. That's the way I'm trying to be a bit more careful. I don't, but of course someone could have touched it before me, no doubt, because I don't bother with gloves. My wife made a good point, though. She's a nurse, and she's just laughing at everybody because, we shop at Dave's, and at Dave's they have a counter where you come in and you spray. You have a sprayer with disinfectant, so you can, spray the thing you're holding on to on the carriage, and I spray my. I'll even spray my hands, and I'll just kind of wipe them off. And my wife just looks at me. She goes, "Well, you're an idiot." And I'm like, "Well, what's new?" And she says, "Do you know the worst part of this process that no one even thinks about?" I said, "What?" She goes, the spray trigger. The spray trigger. Yeah. It's filthy. Everyone's coming in with dirty hands using the spray trigger, and they're spraying, and they're like, oh, look at me. I'm being safe. It's like, no, nobody can spray the spray trigger, and nobody does. And so she's just laughing. She's like, we're all out of our minds. And she's right, because, she was a nurse. She lived, for 35 years. She lived in a world of, she worked in ICU, and so she knew all these steps you had to take to truly be careful. And she looks at all these efforts made by amateurs like me, and she's like, oh, God, she's just shaking her head,
I'm seeing things already. Things we'll have to do in the fall to have school reopen, and only 20 kids in a classroom, and that's one of the.
That sounds like the unions put that one in.
Yeah, that's right. And they got to be so far apart. And I'm thinking,
nonsense. It's nonsense.
I'm too young to remember, and I don't want to age you guys, but didn't we have a polio pandemic in the 50s?
Oh yeah.
And schools weren't shut down, were they?
No. But I can remember standing in line to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was. Yeah, I mean, it's right now we live in a logistical society where, people are fed by social media and instant news today, and nobody wants to be that person who gets sued. I mean, there was a question of, okay, supposing, it's traced with the tracing system that's in place. It was traced to a business. Can I sue that business?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it's a lot different than what it was in the 50s.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you're right, and that is something that Congress. I'm sure you've read about this, probably both of you, that Congress is discussing now, is how to bring the economy back online. But they're going to have to. They know there's a certain amount where they're going to have to hold businesses harmless, because if a business reopens and says to their employees, "Got to come back," and someone gets sick, and then, tragically, if something serious happens to that person or they die, can the business owner be sued for bringing them back to work? And that's being discussed in Congress, and essentially, as usual, the Republicans in Congress are saying we need to come up with a plan to save the businesses, to make them not responsible for matters like this. Democrats, who get tons of money from trial lawyers, don't want to do that. So they're happy to open up the Pandora's box to trial lawyers and make the lawyers rich. That's the Democratic Party. That's today's Democratic Party. And so I don't know how they're going to, come to a resolution on this. But you're right. I think of me opening the Valley Breeze and saying, okay, everybody come back, and you get out the Purell and you do everything just about right, and you open the windows, and then something happens to somebody anyway. Well, first of all, who's to say they got the disease in my office?
Trace it back
or somewhere else. But it doesn't matter. They'll get the lawyer, and the lawyer will sue you, and then you're out of business or costing tens of thousands of dollars to defend yourself. Who needs this? And this is what I mean, is if we want to cause a Great Depression and kill America, this is a pretty good plan. I mean, if China sat back 6 months ago and said, we can kill America without firing a bullet, this is a pretty good plan. So, we'll have to wait and see if we're smart enough to get ourselves out of this, or if we're going to bicker all the way down to Dante's fourth level of hell. And I don't know how this story ends, but
and what happens if I have underlying issues and my employer says, okay, we're opening the doors on Monday, you need to be here, and I'm fearful. I have
Sure.
underlying issues and I don't want to go back. Can I get fired?
Good question. I don't know, because the work needs to be done, and who has the right? I mean, typically, under normal circumstances, an employee does not have the right to say, no, I'm going to stay at home because I don't feel safe. The boss would be like, yeah, well, you can stay at home forever. I'm getting somebody else to do the job, because the job has to be done. And so who who has the greater rights there? I mean, historically, it's been the employer. They have a right to run their business, and an employee can't just say, "I don't feel comfortable." But I don't know what's going to happen going forward, and I don't know.
Another consideration in that scenario is, the unemployment rate is, double digits.
Yeah.
It's going to be easy to find somebody to, all right, you don't want to come in. Okay, we're just going to replace you. There's so many people looking for work now.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't know how this plays out. I really don't. But it's not over by a long shot.
All right. How about this question? Filing your federal tax returns has been moved out to July 15th, and now they're kicking around the idea, let's move it to September or maybe even December. I can see a whole myriad of problems doing that.
Yeah, I mean, at a certain point, the federal government's going to need money, and yeah. I don't quite understand. I mean, I think most people, frankly, have done their taxes anyway. I mean, mine was always on a path toward April 15th, and my CPA basically said, look, I'm going to, now that they're giving me extra time, it might be an extra month, because he was helping a lot of his clients with the program, the government program, to get loans, to payroll protection program. So he kind of switched gears and helped people with that in the month of March. But then he finished my taxes, and we paid him, and we're done. So we're going to do that anyway. But I don't know the upside of. I don't know. It seems to me at a certain point you just have to decide. The politicians are coming up with a lot of stupid things. I love the fact that some of them, including our governor, were like, "Oh, just don't pay your rent in the month of April. Don't worry about it." It's like, really? But the owner still has to pay his mortgage, and it's just like. And I know Gina was thinking, well, there's a lot of renters who's going to vote for me now because they think I love them, and there's fewer landlords, and they can all go to where. And it's a calculation. It's a political calculation. That's all it is. It makes, like I said, it's hard to run a business anyway. Mm-hmm. But when you make it really hard to run a business. When politicians make it really hard to run a business, all for votes, all to say, I care more, I care for you. And so that person who's taking your money, that bad person, we don't worry about that person. And I think about, like I said, I think about these really small businesses, the two-person barber shops, the small businesses that are really suffering right now and not allowed to do their business and have loans to pay or whatever, can't feed their family. We all have heard about this woman in Texas who basically is like, look,
it's not selfish.
I gotta feed my family. Sorry, but we can do this cleanly. The videos came out where she had everybody waiting, socially distanced. She had chairs out where they were far from each other. Everyone was wearing masks. Everyone's disinfecting. Everyone's doing everything right. And this judge was like, nope, you got to go to jail. But the good news on that judge is they vote for judges in Dallas, and he's up for re-election this fall, and I trust he's going to get Trump. Trumped is a bad word. Trounced. Trounced is the word I meant.